Lions
Oh,
Club of
wow.
Austin, and I'm not saying he's on which one, but I
think
know
it's
the
on
ones is Steve Myers is associated with them, and I know they're wanting to give money, so.
Can I email you that information that
Yep.
way you can pass along?
Yep.
But I just want to show you what we have, what Teresa has. It's in
And
a
that's
separate,
going into, because that's
separate
the other
account.
thing, because I
Yeah.
told him, I said, this money's going into a line item at the auditor's office.
That's
where,
correct.
you know, that money's not. in
So
a
that's what I
fund.
wanted to bring to show you. It's highlighted up top. It's actually the Safe Haven Project Fund. It's completely separate from our line items, if anybody needs it. And then this is, I don't know if they want you to say it out loud, but this is who we have that's donated so far to get the same amount that Teresa has for us as well. And then I have some of the photocopies of the checks. if you need
When do you
those.
think we can have it Safe Haven done?
So
Well, you can do it now.
that's all I was waiting on was, Shannon already came before you all approved
Well, I
the
mean, we gonna
project.
have it done in a month or 2
So,
weeks or?
Mary Beth Boone from over in Jefferson County is kind of the one in this area that's been helping us. As soon as we give them the go-ahead, they're going to come over, go ahead and start getting their contractors to install the box and all that. So I think in less than a month, we could have it up. I didn't think I really had to have your motion again, but I wanted to at least have your blessing since we had the amount that we needed to get it up and running.
Yeah,
You got
So-
my blessing.
yeah.
Already.
So like I said, I know, I don't know how much they're wanting to give, but I know they're
Okay, absolutely.
pretty big givers sometimes.
And then the other thing that I have for you is we switched this year. Sorry, Mike, you're the one that signed the contract for it, for ESO. First, to switch to a new software system, but not only did we switch our run system to it, but we switched our scheduling system to it. The software is a recurring fee of $3,790 a year and goes up 3 to 4% each year. On top of that, the scheduling, even though
This
it's
is what
with
you were telling me the other program we had was free.
So, yeah, since we're on the software part, ambulance billing, so we're on ESO here. It's $37.90, $3,790 a year, and a 3% increase fee each year. That's reoccurring. Ambulance billing paid 100% of image trend. We paid nothing for our software prior to this. So, since I'm still in this position, I would like your all's blessing. I know council's already, because we talked about it during budget, I would like to switch away from ESO. I have until October the 25th. I need to give them a notice, letting them know that we're not going to renew it.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And so, but
Whatever you
with
want.
the same thing is,
Legal.
the scheduling software that comes with ESO is also a recurring fee of $3,045 a year with a 3% to 4% increase each year. Whereas before we had EMS schedule and it was a flat $2,064 and that's all we paid. We didn't have to do anything else.
So, did we sign a contract, year-to-year contract, or is it a?
Yes, it's a year-to-year contract. I would like our county attorney to look at it because it was signed in December. We didn't start it until April. But the bad part about it is whenever we done ESO, they only contracted us for 5,000 runs. And we're looking at doing 5,500 runs this year. So we're going to owe an additional fee for each run that we do after 5,001.
Can
Whereas.
you look at that contract, see if
And
we
the
get out of
question
it?
is, can you terminate the contract
So-
early, or is the question?
So we know
can
that we have until October 25th because our billing has been helping us with it because it's been a billing nightmare for us, just to be honest with you, because they don't have any control over actually going in and seeing the runs. We can see runs now that they can't see. And so I had to go the other day, like literally each run and put what run I have, and then ambulance billing was going through every run that we've done since April. And they would put what run they have, and I would have to go back and match them up to see if they had the same amount of runs as us. So October 25th would give them their 90 days heads up
That's
of
fine.
us to terminate the contract and not renew it. However, the only thing that we were unsure about is this was dated for December, but we didn't start until April.
Well, but when did he sign the contract?
You signed it
Well,
In
when did I
December.
sign it?
in December.
All right, so then, if it's a year-to-year contract and it's up in December, wouldn't it be? Or did he already start it?
I'm not for sure because when you signed, after you
I
signed
need to
it,
see what.
is when they had to bill.
It's
is that
almost
what I
less
signed?
important what the, your
I don't-
piece, like, ended.
I remember
ended
seeing
in
Yeah,
that
this was-
Termination
That's the one you signed.
noted, like the notice requirement in there.
Okay.
Does it say before the end of the term of the contract, does it say
It's on the
Is it-
second.
90-day
yeah.
notice period?
It says a 90-day notice for the end of the contract, and so we were going by December 31st. That's why we were putting the October 25th date.
It's on the second page.
But so, if anything, we would just be way ahead of.
Yeah, right,
We'd be way more than 90 days ahead.
yeah.
So.
Where was that?
either
No, no,
way-
no, no, you're not signing, I want him to see that. Oh, well, no, don't sign it again.
It would save us on our budget. The software we used before does exactly the same thing as ESO. We were, not we, some people were sold on ESO because it had these extra things that we don't have in the first place. Like it had overdose maps for the state of Indiana that we originally paid $595 for. I canceled that because we don't have an OD map contract with the state, so that's something we needed, so they actually reimbursed us for it. But just trying to tidy up our budget instead of this reoccurring stuff, instead of having almost 7,000 reoccurring and then go up every year. I'd much rather us let ambulance billing pay for the software we used before.
And they're willing to still do that.
Yeah, yes, sir.
You have the link that's on here?
Yeah,
Is that
so,
where the contract exists?
yeah, so I have the whole thing in email back and forth between,
Okay.
and I'll send that to you.
I don't have a problem getting out of it and going a different direction, because,
It's gonna save us money, so I just wanted to,
yeah.
because council was for it too, but I wanted to let you all, make you all aware.
I'm for it. There you go.
Then,
To consult with you to get out of
We
that.
just
Is
need to
that
wait
good
on that.
enough?
That's good enough, yeah.
Okay.
and then the last thing I had was what you asked me to put on there was the EMA ambulance that EMA has.
Oh, yeah. That ambulance, Jeff, that ambulance you have over there, are you using that or not, or you gonna use it on occasion, or, and here's my thought. I know it's sitting over there, I didn't know why it was sitting over there, and then I found out, you know, that, it was given to EMA for a possible, I guess, a vehicle be out at run, or out of situations.
Mobile command.
Mobile command, yeah. Is there anything against, because it would technically be a backup to EMS, you know, if they took it back out there and if you needed it, you could go out there and get it and utilize it?
I haven't done anything to it. That command trailer that we had, it was District 9. There were some issues with that I didn't have in my budget to replace tires and the vinyl awning and all that stuff. That was part of the agreement. Scott County said they would do the upkeep on that. It's
We
just
did.
not in our budget. And, so Jefferson County and Switzerland County have it over there, and they're gonna do it jointly. And we still don't have, anybody in District 9 still has access to it.
So it's just not housed here anymore?
It's just not housed here anymore. Put that burden on Jefferson County.
Okay.
And we was using it once a year, and they have several festivals. Since it left here, it's been the Switzerland County Wine Festival and all that stuff, so it's gonna get used a lot more.
Okay.
And I just wanted something smaller.
But you'd be all right in that situation that if they parked it out behind the ambulance service and they needed to use it for a run, they could use it as a backup. But if you need it for something that you could go get it and utilize it on your side, correct? I mean, you'd be all right with that?
I took all the equipment, the radios out of it, the head trigger. Got with Brandon Watson to re-letter it, but he still has yet to give me a quote. It's been before the fair, so I haven't done anything with it. It's got some equipment in it that can be taken out.
Okay. Well, I just know, I think there was a situation where we had an ambulance down and then we had a run. Actually, I got a phone call because it was a run at Pioneer Village and I was actually there and I got a phone call on my landline phone or my cell phone saying, can I drive this ambulance? I go, no, you know.
Well, that was the old one.
That's the old one, you're right, it was,
Yeah.
Single transmission.
yeah, well, that's one sitting out there
That's the one we're
behind.
trading,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's the one they're
Oh,
trading,
we-
but.
yeah.
That one's not certified by the state anymore. The one
And they were
that,
like, there
he
were
has is still
multiple
certified by state.
patients, and I'm like, you can't drive it, sorry.
You and I talked about this, do we have 3 ambulances on a shift now?
Where are we at on this?
so, yes, so we do have three.
I mean, will there be times we don't?
So there will be times like for whatever reason, the month of September, where we are completely fully staffed except for my position on an ambulance office. I can't fill that yet until we figure everything else out. But we are fully staffed. The only thing is, for whatever reason, the month of September is when everybody has put in their request
Yeah.
off. So we only have one person off per shift, which is our policy. And so we have, thankfully, the past week, we've had 3 ambulances because we've been bombarded with COVID calls.
Yeah.
Not only that, the hospital's been overwhelmed. They've had to keep their nursing staff over from day shift to night shift, and we were trying to do everything we could to help them.
Yeah.
But the issue that we're running into now, and if we don't keep 3 ambulances staffed, it's going to keep getting that way, is when Sky gets busy, if we try to take patients elsewhere, we're waiting almost 2 hours in a waiting room for them to take our patient off our stretcher down at Floyd or Clark.
Well, we
Well,
need
I
to,
wanna, my goal was to make sure we have 3 ambulances all
Yes,
the
sir.
time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was disappointed
Okay.
because I'd asked that question several times before in the past about, are you fully staffed? And I was always told yes, and.
I can
And
give
what's
you the
fully
names.
staffed? Is that 2 fully staffed?
No, that's,
Yeah, I mean,
we paid
I
for
want
3
3,
ambulances.
that's what I
Right.
want, yeah.
Where are
So-
we at with the ambulance that got hit?
So the ambulance that got hit, well, actually, the ambulance that got hit and the response vehicle that got hit, which is the response vehicle got hit earlier in the year. It was a lady coming the wrong way on the square.
Yeah.
Both of them we finally got worked out through insurance. All we're waiting on is Dave Kilburn for them to have time for the parts to come in and for us to get that vehicle in to get fixed. Both
It's-
of them was
it's
not our fault.
usable.
Yeah, no, the ambulance is not usable. The ABS sensor is on, so it locks the wheels up when you try to drive it. So right now, we have no backup ambulance. We only have the 3. So the quickest they can get in is the week of September the 13th. And they're gonna do both the chase vehicle and the ambulance at the same
So
week.
can they fix the ABS light, or the ABS?
So it's, all this is the computer in it. They're gonna reset it because it's indicating it's been in a wreck, is what
Can
they're
they
saying.
reset it now?
I can ask.
I mean, if that's all it is resetting the computer, because you said it was drivable.
Yeah.
But if it all needs is a computer and it's gonna be another 2 weeks, I mean, I'd go ask him to reset the computer.
Yeah, I can definitely ask Dave.
That'd be better than
Okay.
not having an ambulance, so.
I wanna make sure I got this right.
And what parts are we waiting on?
So they ripped off the whole passenger side step to get inside the truck, and then it ripped off the hubcap covering for it. And so they're waiting. One is just like our ambulance up north. There's back order on paint. They'll have to paint it first, and then they got with zinc signs since they were the ones that wrapped it. The insurance company did to put that same wrap back on it, but they're waiting for the brackets to house that step in and that step, because that step is, I guess, built just specifically for an ambulance. So I had to give them our people from Osage his information so they can contact them to see if they keep it in stock to hopefully order it from them.
So nothing other than the reset is keeping it.
Nothing but the reset, yeah. The AB
Reset.
Yep.
I'd have them reset it.
Let me make sure I'm right here. September, there'll be couple weeks or 3 there. We only have 2 on ambulances.
2.5.
Will you have I was gonna say, will you have a backup ready to go?
So we have 2.5, but we have we're fully staffed, and then we have a total of 31 employees currently. Only 2 of those are not released, and then another 1 is Pat, so she can't work on the ambulance.
Released to go to work, but they've been in their training.
Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
going through their training.
Yeah.
So we have some that'll pick up whenever those are off, so it won't be completely that we don't have 3 trucks, as long as we have part-timers pick up. But the only thing is, sometimes you can count on our part-times, sometimes you can't count on them.
Yeah, I get it.
But the other thing that we have is we have an abundance of radios, portable radios that we bought when we upgraded our radio systems. They're currently, I counted for all of them to make sure that we had them all. But I wanted to see if you guys were okay with me dispersing those between our employees that live in the county. We also have the app, and we'll start utilizing dispatch if we don't have a 3rd truck, or when we get a backup truck, dispatch can send out a regular tone out saying that any available EMS report to station. Well, our app will also get that, and when we pull it up, it'll be in the dispatch notes and the available EMS report station for those that don't have a radio. But we have like 16 radios that are sitting in a box not being used.
So you wanna give them out to the
I would like to
part-time
give 'em-
people and whatnot?
I wanted to give them out to our full-time that live in the county, any employee that lives in the county pretty much, which is, we won't have 16 that live in the county though.
Now, they'll be, yeah, these, when they're off duty,
They'll have them when they're off duty.
so the purpose will be if you need them, they'll come and run them?
So, yep, exactly. So like if, I don't know, say one of them lives on First Street here, and say we have a cardiac arrest at the jail, well, they'll have a radio, and so they can go ahead and respond to the jail, get CPR started before our ambulance ever gets there with them being right there. We have some of them that does it now, but the purpose that I want them to use it for is when we get busy, and they know we're busy, and we don't have an ambulance to respond to something, then somebody can go. We've had the talk recently of just responding just to help out people. It puts a liability on our service because are they on the clock, are they not on the clock? They're responding in their own vehicle. If they get in a
Well,
wreck,
I
who
think
pays
if they
for
come
it?
out, we gotta pay them.
So,
Oh, yeah.
If they're on the radio when they come running, it's our dime.
correct, but if we have adequate people responding, then there's no need for them to just create extra.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I released the policy stating that if there's not a truck available, if it's something critical, I'm okay with off-duty response. Or if we do an all-page, don't have enough people to respond, it's okay.
Well, I had that happen. It was a wreck down here in front of the highway or the city garage, and one of your off duty, lives close there, and he came out. And, so yeah, I've seen it happen. One thing I wanna ask is the ambulance service using 800s?
We have 800s. Every truck is supposed to have an 800 on them.
Alright.
However, I will let you know that our employees do not carry 800s. We have portables for them, and we've towed them and we've towed them.
Well, I don't know what, I don't want them on an 800, cause actually something happened the other day, and I can't even remember where it was at or what happened, but somebody was set out, it had to be in the county, cause everybody was on 800s. The fire department couldn't hear anything. They didn't know if you were en route, they didn't
Yeah.
know if where you were at or anything to do with it, because the ambulance was running on 800s and talking with the sheriff's department, and and the fire department didn't have a clue where,
Yeah,
what
that
was
should-
the
that should not be.
communication, so.
The 800s are only for if our low bands don't get out. And the other one is if we've started telling our crews, like if you're at, you go out at Floyd, that low bands don't get all the way up here. So the 800s, at least the rest of us know, like, hey, yes, they've made it to Floyd, or when they clear Floyd, that way we know, hey, do I
I
need to
get
put
it,
another
but
county on
the way
standby?
I said
They're only 35 minutes away.
I get that, but like I said, I just didn't wanna get in the habit of somebody,
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely,
the whole
yeah.
point of everybody having a radio, so everybody knows what's going on, and if you're shut out of that communication, you don't know what.
Yeah, and then the new mobile ambulance, or the new mobile radios that we have in the ambulance,
You know,
they're a double head, so it has low band at the top and then 800 at the bottom, that way if you can't get out.
That's only in the ambulance, so.
If I
Yeah.
had a concern about everybody having a radio, and I get to places once, they could show up quicker. If I had a concern of everybody jumping in a personal vehicle, driving a mile down the road, 80 miles an hour in a personal vehicle. I mean, I'm all for what we're talking about here, but I'm also
The
don't wanna
liability.
create a bigger problem than.
Right, so,
You know how that is, vehicles, if people don't know how to drive and they're on a
Right.
personal vehicle, you can have a lot worse
So
problem
this-
than you started out with.
the state of Indiana allows EMS personnel to run a green light. However, our service does not okay that, so they still have to drive the same laws, no lights flashing,
Well,
no
I
blue
know,
lights or nothing.
I know that,
Yeah.
but I know not
And the-
everybody
right,
does that.
absolutely,
Well, but the other part of that is, is once, just like me being a fireman, once that alarm goes off, I'm covered as soon as I clear my radio until I get home.
right.
So I'm still on a run. If I have a wreck on the way home, then I'm still covered because I was still on a run. But if you call, or well, actually, you're not calling them out possibly,
Right.
they're just listening to the radio, and if they think, hey, I'm close and I can help,
They're different, you'll be in a government vehicle, they're gonna be in a private vehicle.
yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
And
that's-
and the general public
I think
won't
that's,
look at a private vehicle and realize that's an emergency.
No, I've-
person
No.
running
I ran
to
a-
it.
Correct.
That would be
But that-
my concern.
my concern
Right.
would be also is the pay. I mean,
Yes.
how are you gonna justify it? Because we used to have a fireman that wouldn't come to the fire, but he'd say, hi, I'm at the station, and he'd
Yeah.
want credit for it.
Yeah.
And he was at home, you know, but
I think we need to think about it before we,
I'd
that's just my
think about that.
No, and that's.
maybe you can come up
yes.
with some additional ways of doing this.
Well, right now they have the app, when it gets texted out, any dispatch we get
Gotta
told
get
out.
it before everybody else.
Yeah, we'll get it because it takes dispatch to go through their Pro QA to still collect information, but if they go ahead and type in the first part of it, it'll actually pop up where the address is at. We can click a map on there and it'll take us right to the location. Sometimes the map is hit or miss, which is most of us don't use it because of that. But it will give us the correct address and it'll give us dispatch's notes on it.
Well, I think you're onto a good thing here. I just wanna make sure we got everything.
I think it needs to be
Everything
cleaned up a little bit.
done right, yeah.
And I just know this COVID, it's gonna be continuous.
Oh, it's,
And,
wow.
well, the other night we had 4 COVID patient call-outs, literally back to back. Nobody could respond until they,
I heard
Yeah.
that.
and it was like,
I was like.
we had Washington County people responding to help us out.
But then you had an overdose.
Well, that was the one I went to, and it wasn't. That was just a mess.
There we go.
But that was when we didn't have people that had radios to,
Yeah.
and
I think everybody'd be halfway responsible, but they'd have to, well, I mean, it'd be no different than calling somebody into the station to pick up a truck.
that's what I would
They need to
prefer them
They
to
need to
do.
drive their normal traffic
Right.
to the EMS, station to get a truck. They don't need to be blowing in there sideways. I mean,
Right.
And we all know this. I
And
don't,
it's
you can
gonna
take a
happen.
normally sane person,
Right.
when that adrenaline's popping,
Oh yeah.
it's a whole different ballgame.
We've been watching my speeds.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I know who,
Yeah.
but I know that. I
I
mean, you may be
I do
driving
it too.
70 and not even know it.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, you get out there in the middle of the night where I live, once you cross over Hardin Hill and you see the city and you're like, there's nobody out there but me.
Yeah.
to that deer Jones.
Well, I just think, I think we need our attorney to look at the legalities of the guy in his own vehicle and all this kind of stuff.
Thank
But
you,
it's a
sir.
good idea.
I've
Appreciate
got-
it.
I've got
We got a
Thank you.
question.
Thank you.
a couple questions. Wayne had asked me to talk about the 800s. This has happened to him like 3 times in the past month. He said, he'd be on the run and couldn't hear anybody, and suddenly EMS passes him going back into town, and he is still
See,
responding. So I think they're using it more than maybe you know, Kyle, so just.
And yeah, they possibly could. I don't listen to 800.
Actually, now you said that, it was Wayne telling me out there on McNeely Road the other day, so.
And I think he witnessed something else the other day when Austin was on run. So I mean, they're volunteering their time and they need the respect to know what's going on. So I appreciate if you look at
Yeah,
that for us.
well, I just think it's, like you said, that's why I don't like it with the sheriff's department, for the fact that these guys get on a wreck and they're talking amongst each other, and you hear that traffic is saying, hey, it's nothing, or it's, it's really bad. Just like this guy right here, when he dispatched, I never could tell if it was a bad situation or not, because he's monotone and he never shows any change in his voice. But there's some over there that whenever they start talking, you could tell it's bad because the way they talk. If you don't hear that information, you don't know how to react going to a fire, going to a wreck, going to a medical call. If you know that, hey, this kid's not breathing, this kid's breathing again, then your reactions are different. So,
We are getting ready to do a radio class because we have a lot of people that come from like Park County. They only use one radio system, and where we had that double decker, if you're flying a patient out, you have to switch over to 800 to QMA1 to be able to talk to them, and it's
to who?
the Air Methods or Stat Flat, either one.
Unless something's changed, because Air Methods came to training at our fire department 3 or 4 years ago, and I asked them, I said, will you please clear the air here that you will talk on any channel that they want to go to. And they said, you tell us the channel you want us to go to, we'll switch to that
Yeah,
channel.
and QMA is the one that we had because the iHeart, if we had more than one run, that's the only connection that we have with the hospital. And so, but they don't have the other, like, they don't have our channels in a low band,
Yeah.
but they have the 800, and so that's one that both helicopter service has.
We should,
And it's actually on the board over at dispatch, that's the one we use.
Thing about going to Scott County EMS, they don't have the capability to go digital and have the encryption to talk on the one there.
All right, I'm gonna skip something here.
Do we have an update on the
striker, do we have to pay for those things?
We got a list of what's open, what's not open, and, I brought it with me someplace. But I got a list that Kyle, put together, what's open, what's not open, and, request to send back, so, which there's not a whole lot that we can send back, so.
There's quite a bit.
Well, okay, most of them are the Lucas devices that are high-ticket items, but there's a lot of stuff that, and I don't even know what half the stuff is.
Some of it's just like packets, and I'll put in parentheses like there was no cost for it.
Yeah,
It makes no sense to request for them to take a pamphlet back from us.
I get that, but a lot of this stuff, you know, we're probably gonna have to
Yeah.
go to the vote and hopefully win some money. I'm gonna skip real quick.
We will not know, we will not know,
Of lead and of the AEDs that are requested
we will not know an answer to that question for probably
sometime.
After
some
we,
time.
It's right.
And,
after we pay for it.
even after we receive a response, which I wanna caution, you know, I can already probably assume what the response will be. There's avenues, right, but we can't do anything without you guys making some other affirmative decision about what path you wanna take. And there can be risks and benefits to any of those decisions, so.
Well, I think.
There's some other options available, which I think we've talked a little bit about, which may allow the county to offload some of the cost in a way. So, will not void or negate anything in the contract, but it could offload the cost to the county.
All right, I'm gonna skip here, and Kyle, I'm sorry about this, but, come on up here. I know you've been sitting here a long time, listening to two arguments and.
All right, I ain't got much here anyway.
You need to talk to somebody at the auditor's office and get farther, closer up on the agenda.
I tell you, yeah, you gotta know people.
Well, maybe you need to talk to some commissioners.
So anyway, go
Tell
ahead.
me to do that. No,
Okay,
I'm just being silly.
we talked last time about some of the speed bumps on Lake Road and stuff. So here's the ones I was talking about. That's from Seal Masters. I'm sure there's a lot of options out there. That's just one I actually had in the office. No, I'm figuring 2 on each end. And I was going to talk to you if you think we need one in the middle, perhaps.
I do. That's just my opinion.
I
That's-
guess, those there, are they gonna rip your jaw out?
It's 2 1/4. I don't think so.
Well, I think you gotta put signs at 2 1.
So that's the sign layout I was talking about, and it, you know, he goes, I believe, pedestrian, or the speed limit, pedestrian, slow, then the speed bumps.
Yeah.
So I think we'd go back to, we was talking about getting the speed limit changed through there.
Yeah.
That probably needs to be done before we put the speed bumps in.
I agree.
You know, I was out there today, I think between Hilton and Rosewood, those 2 roads, I mean, at what, 25 or 35 miles per hour? That's probably what it needs to be, I guess, if you say 25.
I saw you put 35 on there. Is that what you're thinking, 35?
Yeah, I was
That's
thinking
probably okay.
35,
That's okay.
yeah.
Did we ever find out, Zach, what a road survey or road, what they call it, what do you call it?
Where they count the cars, or,
They go out there and have to do a thing before we can reduce or put a speed limit on a road. It's a,
traffic
That is
study.
one method by which you can, yeah.
I can't remember what the.
Traffic count.
No, it's a
Study.
study, there you
Well,
go.
tough, wasn't it?
There's that-
Plan, Wheel of Fortune.
There's that old lady that was at the courthouse that told that guy.
I mean, I think 35 is reasonable
I think,
speed limit. I mean, you could make, but the key's letting them know about it ahead of time. And, you know.
is there
Yeah.
another option besides those bumps? Is there tape? Like, I've seen like, it looks like almost like painted on the
Almost it
road.
just makes a sound
Yeah,
more
it's
than
like boom.
anything. I know what you're talking about, and I thought about those too. Yeah, there is.
I think
That's
they're
something.
doing
Is this-
3 and
oh,
256.
I can look at.
3 and
Yes.
Yeah, where you
256.
coming up on the caution
Like
line?
thick white paint.
Yeah, it's like-
Like that. yeah.
Will we be
Yeah.
able to, I know you got the equipment, I know it's expensive, but will we be able to stripe it? And I mean,
Yeah.
like a line down the middle, maybe on the sides, maybe?
In the causeway?
Yeah,
I don't-
well, on the edge of the pavement, on both edges of the
I
pavement.
like it on the edge.
That's what I'm talking about, I'm not,
On just the causeway?
yes,
Yeah, I think we could do that.
I think that would help. If we get the signs, we get the speed bumps,
Yeah, I figured 3 signs, the speed limit, the pedestrian, the slow, and then
and then you have to
the
have. it
speed
come-
bumps for the marker
You have
paint.
to have the sign coming both ways.
Right. So where do we need to go to get the speed limit changed? Because
Right
it probably
That's
needs,
Right
okay.
here.
That needs to be done before I put the speed bump.
This is gonna sound
Whether
like
we
a,
decide.
is the entire stretch of this roadway, or what is it?
It's between, between Rosewood and,
You talking about the
Help.
speed limit all the way from Rosewood?
yeah.
Oh, okay, I was just talking
Yeah.
across the bridge, but okay.
Well, I figured if you put this, if you put the speed limit there,
And then start
that's 4 or
slowing
5 tenths before you get to the bridge. They
then
might be
start
slowed
helping
down
on
by
it, start
then.
helping on
And then
it.
you would run into your
And
sign.
this would be considered
To the
Okay,
board.
I get it,
not an urban district, correct?
correct.
It's not an urban district.
Okay, so then, yes, we would need to do a traffic study.
Who
We
would
need
do
to
that?
figure out who does that and what it
Whoever
costs.
else.
Whoever else does it? There you go. I'll call Melissa.
I'm gonna ask, yeah,
Yeah.
35 mile an hour might be too
Call
fast if we
Melissa.
have pedestrian sign.
I'll get ahold
Yeah,
of
that's
her.
something to look at. It might be, you mean, we could take it down to 25, I mean, whatever you think
You
we need to
cannot,
be, no,
decrease the limit outside of an urban district, but not less than 30 miles per hour.
okay.
Well, even 30 would be.
You
So
might-
I guess the question is, should we be putting under pedestrian
55 or
signs? if we're
60?
gonna say-
We was out there today, I bet, some of
And
them
like I said, I know
70.
the state police can't enforce it, or the city
Well,
can't,
but we
but it
can.
does make a person liable for their actions.
Zach says there's a, in the ordinance or whatever, that there is an ICC code or something that, and he says if that's in there,
It's
then
the
then it's a violation.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's a separate, so if I go all the
Did
way,
I say ICC code, is that right?
Yeah.
yeah.
I knew what you meant, but most
Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
you're close enough.
It's like,
So.
it's one of them
When
codes.
you,
Yeah,
when you,
they-
once you do that, so except as provided in subsection A, a person who exceeds a speed limit established by a local authority under this section commits a class C infraction.
Okay,
So the prior ordinance referred to misdemeanor, which is like, that's a criminal offense. And this would specifically reference just a class C infraction. That person who
it's a
exceeds.
fine, probably.
if that.
It's a fine, but basically, I think if, the question was really, who would be the enforcement authority? I think that under this, if it's an infraction punishable under an IC code, that's enforceable by,
Prosecutor.
yes.
Even though it's a civil process.
No, that's not, because he's saying there's a
You're saying
code.
the IC code would be criminal.
No. The prosecutor does all traffic infractions, citations, those are all civil in nature. So, and the
Okay.
prosecutor appears on behalf of the BMV for a lot of civil things as well, like.
Habitual traffic offense.
Yeah, suspension of driving privileges, other types of things that
That's
are
good
not
news.
necessarily criminal.
That's good news.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is
Yeah.
I think that there was a question about who the enforcement authority would be, would we have to be submitting these separately? I think if we talked about how to fit this into this, there's a potential that it could qualify as something that they could proceed under, just under the normal citation system
Now,
you already
state-
have in place.
A state police officer may not pull you over out there, but a county and a city could,
Yeah.
so, I'm good with that, so, I guess let's find out, I'll get with Melissa,
I mean,
find out if she can set up a road study. And once we find out how much that costs or whatever, I mean, I'd like to have one out on probably Witsit, Terry, Slab, Boatman, some of those long stretches that people can get going and there's no curves or anything else to slow them down. I mean, I think
But we could start out here.
yeah, we can start out here.
see what happens, how it goes.
And find out how much it is and what it takes to get it done, so. So,
So we need a
Is that all
vote
you
on
got?
that.
That's it. I mean,
how's the paving?
we're still going, we're on Lake Road right now, so Lexington area's done, so we're on Lake Road.
Away from,
I was gonna jump, let me jump back a little minute. If we're gonna use River Hill, do we all three need to vote on that?
I'm just gonna ask her a question.
Yeah, I think you could just ask if they, what it would cost to do that, and,
And then vote on it next meeting?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll
Okay.
get some information and we'll come back with it.
Well, yeah, I'm just going, they're already out
But
there.
I was just questioning about those rumble things more.
I mean, is that what, I'm sure I could get them, I just have to find them.
That's
So is that
You're
what
talking about
we,
rumble strips plus this, or just
No,
rumble
no, no,
strips?
just the rumble.
don't
strips.
do the big speed bumps, just
Don't
do
do
the alert rumbles, I guess, for lack of better words. They're just
You're already
kinda-
telling them to slow down and.
The only thing I see about this speed bump, it makes you slow down.
Oh, it's gonna knock
I
your
mean,
teeth out.
if you don't
And-
slow
and-
down.
And a legal standpoint, I think as long as we get the
Yeah.
signage there warning them, I'm asking legal, that's okay, isn't it?
If we put an actual speed bump in
If
the
we-
road, does it have to say speed bump
As
ahead
long as we
too?
notify the people it's there,
I haven't looked at speed bumps at all.
okay.
I can look.
I know
at that.
people use them, somebody's gotta have some legal.
Yeah,
Well, the city uses them, but they create them out of blacktop. And heck, I mean, first time I ever hit one, it about knocked my teeth out. I mean,
Well,
and then
you
they
know,
put a white
I feel
stripe
like-
on it So you can see them.
all I've looked at so far is, that there's just a specific chapter in the IC code on speed limits, so I
Okay.
can.
Alright, well, see if you can get a price on those. I don't,
Okay.
No, I'm.
These speed bumps are 2.25 high and by 12 inches wide. So 2.25 is not, that's about what we're leaving out there right now on the roads.
And the obvious thing,
I mean,
people,
it'll jar you,
somebody
but-
goes through and busts a tire or something, they'll come in there wanting to repair their car, I wanna know what, if we.
I'm off controller off in the
And
lake.
I wanna make sure we do it right, we can say,
Yeah.
hey, you speeding.
yeah.
And the good things about these are reflective, so you can see them at
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
But I'll check
We're
the
heading
other
in the right
stuff.
track.
Thank you, and sorry to
There we go.
have you,
Yes, you're good.
sorry.
We won't go to, skip the next one real quick and go to the Green Acres.
I was gonna stay around, I've seen that on the
Oh, okay.
agenda.
I guess we can, yeah, I guess we can. Hell, nobody else is here. So, yes, go ahead.
Okay, so,
Got an announcement?
You gonna play the song?
no, you
Green
can,
Acres?
you can, if you
You
want.
don't even know
go
what
ahead.
that is.
I was just gonna have the paperwork.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and adopt Green Acres into our road system, you know, as a right-of-way situation.
And I just wanna make kind of some, just give you a factual background before you, go straight into the motions part. So we've done a little bit of work on figuring out the original platting, the plat for the Green Acre subdivision. It was created in 1972, and on the original master deed for the division, there was a piece in there that basically showed that the owner's certificate of dedication, that they would dedicate to the public use all streets as shown hereon. There was a piece here signed by the commissioners at the time, which would be Wanda Gasaway and James Craig. There's just a missing signature on here, so if anybody wanted to look at this piece, you could. The question was at what point, because, so the commissioners approved basically that dedication of it as a public use roadway. But I think that what happened was that the road maybe never got built up to certain specs that were required to bring it into the highway road system, and maybe the subdivision itself, like some of the lots didn't necessarily sell, and that there was a problem, and there was a transfer of property at some point, basically, and the original, so this was, sorry. Verna Melton and
Hamilton, Fern Melt, Seymour.
In 2001.
In 2001, yes, so when you look at the roadway, you know, the idea being that the county would have kept it right away over the top of the road. The roadway still showed that it was, owned by Vernon and Wanda Melton, but it was deeded over to,
Grover Station?
Indiana Home.
Rodney's got it now. Rodney
yes,
McIntosh.
Indiana Home Center, okay?
Oh, really?
who
That's
Still,
Ronnie
That's
McIntosh.
right.
that was,
Well, that's his daughter.
Indiana Home Center has, at least the one that I could find,
Yeah,
that
Rodney.
has this information,
Rodney.
has been administratively dissolved since 2005. At least since 2005. But both of these deeds basically have a piece in here that says the conveyance includes land under streets, roads, and easements until the same shall become public thoroughfares. Okay, so the original master deed provided for a method by which it would eventually go into, without any specific requirements like we have now, go into the highway roadway system. Any of the properties that were conveyed, the covenants, those limitations on the use ran with the land in each of the deeds, like describe that process. The only thing that would prohibit you from bringing it into the county roadway system, I think, is basically that we now have a new ordinance, since 2004, that has a specific process that you have to go through, right? We know, unlike the last road, that this road does not meet the county highway standards. We know that going in. But you could still consider this because of when it was built, you know, and that ordinance not being in effect at the time, essentially a road that is grandfathered in, and this would still allow you to, this doesn't waive any requirements for new subdivisions or anything getting built, but this road is grandfathered in under, you didn't have a process back then, and that it's in the public interest at this point to, you know, waive the requirements under the current ordinance, which I believe would be a 2-year wait period, and is there another, it's a bond posting?
process.
Yeah, it's bond,
Go ahead and accept this into the county roadway system, acknowledging that, you know, dedication on the original deed, and at some point, you know, bring it into county highway standards,
So,
or road standards.
is it okay to do it tonight, or should we wait and we do a process on that?
You could, you know, I don't think that you could basically, because of the nature of it, I guess you could decide to hold like a public hearing on this.
Probably should.
Maybe get some of the people from the neighborhood notified,
Yeah, they'll be here.
and, you know, potentially, again, I don't know, you've said Ronnie McIntosh, I've seen his name on a couple things, I mean, I don't know who would,
His son Rodney's over. Yeah.
so it looks like it's deeded to them, you know, or to that corporation. I'm just wondering whether they're gonna take any issue with
I
this.
can tell you, I talked to him, he said, I'll give it to you.
Okay, well,
Ronnie?
Rodney.
Oh.
so, you know,
But yeah, you got, you know.
It's not I don't think you're gonna have anybody outside of it's, if the person that you're talking about is, that area of the property is deeded to him, he may have to relinquish the property to us or something legally,
You know,
I mean, I don't know.
well,
Right away.
well, it'd just be the right of way.
Oh,
that you would
okay,
be-
yeah.
I might add
But I
though,
mean-
that, even though there's a road there, that, and you don't even see it, but go by Tracy's, it goes on back in the
Oh,
road
yeah.
a ways. It's not just, it just doesn't end in there.
Well, there's 2 other places down there, but then
Yeah.
I don't think the rest of them are fit for
Yeah.
sewage
Yeah.
reasons to be able to be built on or anything, so I'd say once you got past Tracy's, I think there's one more place on the right,
Yeah.
and I said, that is it, so.
Well, anyway, I'm for this, and I know you are, and,
Yeah.
so I just wanna make sure we do it the right way, whatever that process is. If you think we ought to have a public hearing, and I'd be for that.
So
And I suppose we should ask him what
County
all the expenses is gonna
county
be.
executive that
Well,
desires
it's
to
gonna be a
establish
long-term
an
process. I mean, he's gonna have to,
Make
right now,
a
they can
preliminary
have
finding
rock
of the
on it.
apparent right of way.
Yeah, I actually met with asphalt materials out there the other day, and we looked at it,
Physical observation.
about some options,
limited to
so I think I got some
I
answers
think
to that
they'd be
shortly.
happy as heck just to grade it and rock it,
Well,
and maybe even chip and
Prepare a
seal
map
it.
and every
That's exactly
description
right.
of the apparent
Because
right of way.
some of it
And
needs a
notice
good
of the
base on it,
preliminary
so
finding.
So asphalt materials, I ran them out there and just let them look at what it
Notice
was.
of the preliminary finding.
And,
Now to the owner's
he actually
plan,
dropped a sample off
to the
today.
county officers of,
They have what they call a PUD mill. They bring it to the actual garage.
That is.
We provide the rock, they make it, it's a co-mix base, we
Probably,
can actually
I
lay
mean,
it
this
with
is
our
under
paver.
eminent domain section.
His advice would be like out there was, let it sit, put that on there,
It's
let it
hard to
sit,
know exactly
then
where
come
this
back and either top
applies
coat it with just a skim of blacktop or chip.
I was thinking that
Be $20,000 a mile compared to $80,000 a
I
mile.
mean, we got money for that, or is there something we'd have?
well, actually,
bringing it.
I think we'll have money for it right now, I think we're gonna run out of time and weather,
Yeah.
but we can get rock, or we can do rock anytime.
Well, I mean, I think the people out there will be thrilled that know something's coming.
well, we're not
Commissioners
tearing,
have
we're not tearing
said
ambulance up.
already
fire
signed
trucks,
off on
something
the
else up back
dedication.
there.
As far as next year goes,
But
as far
I
as
think
we can do it.
public
We can
use
get-
piece
We can get a base
Maybe
on
just
it,
one
maybe
step
for it, and then
different.
next year,
We had it done a long time ago, if we'd had
being brought into
somebody.
yeah,
the county highway
I
system.
get you.
He kind of actually advised putting that base in and letting it sit
I mean,
and see what
you
didn't
can
hold up,
take, I'm not
and
telling
then
you,
cut it
you
back
can
out,
try
fix
to
it
take
again,
the
then
action
top it.
tonight and go ahead and
That
approve,
was his advice.
make a motion to approve it as
What I was
is.
thinking about some of them.
And try and go forward with
Each
this and,
commissioner gets so much, so
If
many
somebody
miles or
else will
whatever.
deal with that when it happens,
I'd give
or
it some.
I would too.
some of these
I would too.
subdivisions to, get them caught up.
I took
we
him
can
down
try
a
and
few
get
of the
some
roads out
notice
there.
to the people who have the record ownership and see
Oh,
if they
yeah,
will just
maybe
acknowledge
Frankfurt
in
does
some
that.
form of legal fashion.
Oh my
you know,
God, I did too.
Oh, Lord.
I had my
Our
third
rights.
one, I could took my teeth out.
Yeah.
It's like,
Okay, I'm making a motion
Okay,
to take Green Acres in.
is that your recommendation?
I can't make,
I'm for that, I just wanna know we're doing things legally right.
I mean, okay.
well,
So,
let me just say something first. I think that if we have a public hearing, the only people who's gonna show up are the people that live out there, and they're gonna say, hell yeah, we'll build the road.
Yeah.
So,
Zach, go ahead and tell me what you just told me.
so the section I'm looking at here in the code has to do with like declaring apparent right of ways. So essentially something that you wouldn't necessarily think, like on its face, you know, the county already had a right of way. I think the county has already accepted the dedication going back to the seventies. I mean, this is when it was created, the master deed shows this. Each of the conveyances coming from that show basically that at some point, or there's an expectation in those, that at some point this would be taken in as a public thoroughfare. So there's already kind of at least an implied right in here that's not necessarily exactly the same as declaring an apparent right of way under the statute. But this statute does have a process by which you would hold a public hearing and all this stuff. Again, I can't tell you exactly what
Okay,
I can tell you the safest possible way would probably be to have a public hearing.
and that's what I wanna do then.
Okay, but
Yeah.
but I'm not
That's
saying that
fine.
you have to do that.
Oh, you're our lawyer.
Because he was saying that you could also go ahead and accept it, and then if somebody objected later, then deal with
Yeah, but
that
that-
then.
I'm just, I'm for what you said a minute ago, I'm for
I
hearing.
definitely
and-
stand by what I said, I'm just saying that if you wanna tell me the 100%, not 100%, people don't like to guarantee anything, but, you know, the safest way would be to try and follow some procedure that looks like this, even though we think
all right,
that there's a substantial amount of evidence that doesn't just have an apparent right of way, you're not just declaring that, you're asserting a right that, you know, was given to you.
let me
Be
make
dedication
let
in
me
the
make a
70s.
suggestion that we table it to the next meeting. We already know it's gonna happen. This guy isn't gonna get to it before our next meeting anyway.
Right.
So we can say, okay, at the next meeting, we're gonna allow 15 minutes for anybody that wants to say anything negative or positive or
Can we
whatever.
just notice
And-
Yeah.
And then we can vote. And
I
then-
would suggest that Randy amend his motion to say
that
You're doing a heck of a
you
lot of
conduct
bending.
a public,
Third time tonight.
stop it, that you conduct a public hearing
I amend
and
my
and
motion.
give notice to all property owners
Yeah.
in there, just to cover yourself.
I'll bend over backwards again
Thank you.
and amend my motion to have a public hearing.
I agree with the public hearing, I'll second that.
That's
Oh, okay, so.
But we are gonna vote at the end
I'm
of
gonna
that
make sure
hearing.
I got this
Yes,
right.
yeah.
So Randy
wanna make it
motions to hold a public hearing for the taking in of the streets in Green Acres subdivision. Is that correct? And John provided the second on that
Yeah.
one?
And I'll make that unanimous. And John's gonna sing the theme song to Green Acres, which there's not a lot of old people here that know what that is.
Now you're getting funny. Hey, hang on here a minute, I got something important to say.
I don't want
He
to
ain't
put
gonna
this
let
button from the second part out.
I want him to know, it's been 50 years, and it's perfectly legal for you to come back to Leody now.
Oh, I know it, yeah, I know it.
I mean, the lights went out,
I've sang that
poles
song.
back up.
Sing that song.
you're allowed back in
many-
Leody, that's, you know, I just want you to know.
Well, actually.
You know who I was talking
Vern-
to.
True blood.
When we take this road
Nobody knows what we're
do
talking
that
about.
at a certain,
4 or 5 people.
to give him time to work on the road. So like we would
Everybody's gonna be
say,
happy as hell, we just know the process is going on.
let's say,
They've gone so long.
October 2nd. That way, October 2nd, he can be out there with equipment and filling in potholes so we don't get sued for damage to anybody's vehicle.
They won't pay him.
That's what you got.
That's
Does
just a
that-
tort, they won't pay
What
him.
about your lot?
They don't pay
Oh, we
him.
still got more crap going on here, don't we?
So,
Yeah, we got,
I'm getting ready to close up and go
so
home.
the question,
I'd
you
like
want
to.
to wait until the highway department has its schedule available to pave it before you take it in?
No,
no, it's not.
no, the day that that we take it in, they can be out there to put in millings or something, so.
I think what he's saying, it's really rough, and once we take it, it's our responsibility if cars get damaged.
Oh, I understand that.
So, yeah, do we want to say, is it November 15th, we officially
I see
take it
what you're
over?
saying.
And then that way, we know we can be out there to do
We
the
can
job.
actually set whatever day we want
He might be
to.
getting anything damaged.
You could,
Make your motion to say that.
yeah,
Let's amend that motion.
after, well, we don't have, that motion's not even on the table. That would be, you could have this public hearing first, we need to figure out what what happens at the public hearing. I mean, who knows, I realize everybody's saying, but if we're gonna have a public hearing, let's wait.
Well, there may very well be somebody come in and object.
Yeah,
Well,
the,
we just gotta do it the right way.
He says-
Well, there
Could
probably
you-
will be somebody come in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, again, let's
The
say,
the objection won't be that, the objection will be wanting to do their road.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. McIntosh were to come in and say, look, I'll give you the easement over the, we'll
Well, it might
enter
be-
into an agreement
you
where
might
we've
get him here
recorded
to
the
say
the
He told
easement.
me to do it.
I mean, you could put a date on the recordation that says effective as of such and such date, and we could, I mean, but that's all gonna have to be planned out, before we enter into that agreement, so
I just wondered if that wouldn't be our smartest move. When you look at how rough that road is.
it's
Oh,
hard,
it's rough.
yeah, so,
Okay,
well, okay.
you're good to go.
Sounds good, thank you guys.
Thank you.
And since my obvious abuse of you tonight was
Great
brought out
time.
by
Hey,
Mr. Jones, I will try to make sure the next time you're at the meeting, you're in the top 3 slots, okay? One of those.
I'm gonna hope you do
alright?
that.
Taylor Mill and Rosewood.
You can blame me.
Yes,
because
we'll look at it in the
actually,
morning,
I took the first 4 spots
Did
and
you?
asked for those to be placed.
Nah, you're fine.
Fair enough.
All right, the next one, the EMS, director position, that's me. I know last meeting I told you I wanted to bring a proposal to the board, talking about another way I would like to see, and this is me only, that I would like to see the EMS, go in a different direction. And I say this in a sense that, of course, you know, the financial dealings we've had and we're dealing with out there right now, I don't want that to happen again. So here's my proposal, and I've actually printed it out, and I'm going to give each of you a copy of it, and I'm gonna read it. And what it is, it says that, that here's my proposal, is that I want to change the EMS director position to an EMS office manager. I also want to change the EMS deputy director to become the EMS director of medical services. The change would be for EMS director to EMS office manager, and I threw this number out here because I know what normally people like that would pay. I looked it online and got it, but right now we're paying the director out there $69,000 a year plus benefits. I'd like to see if we change it to an EMS office manager, and that person would not have to have any medical experience whatsoever, but they would be
But
running.
they could.
They could have, but they would run the office. And that would be a $45,000 is what I just threw a number out here, $45,000 plus benefits for a 40-hour week. Change the wages for the EMS deputy director to EMS director of medical services from, and I asked Kyle today what he makes in a year, and Kyle was paid hourly as a deputy director, and that's him working a truck for a couple of shifts or 3 shifts and then working in the office. He makes $60,517, and that's an hourly rate. My proposal here is for that to go to $65,000 at a 40-hour week salary, not a hourly. The other part of this is that we wouldn't have to provide the office manager with a vehicle, so that would eliminate a $40 or $50 or $60,000 vehicle that somebody's out there driving.
We got a new one.
Don't go there. We can get him whatever that little mule thing is or whatever. But anyway, breaking this down, and a lot of people were saying, well, I'm an EMT or paramedic, and that office manager's not going to know anything what I'm doing. Well, I came out and figured out what an office manager's responsibilities were, and we could all work around this, but it's to ensure a safe, secure, and legal work environment, to regulate all purchases, office supplies, medical supplies, and equipment, oversees administration staff, ensure billing is updated, work the yearly budget, and to do PR work for the department. And then, as the EMS Director of Medical Services, responsibilities would be is employee scheduling, managing vacations, time off, daily operations of emergency services, hiring EMTs and paramedics, maintains reports for state reporting and billing, inventories medical equipment supplies, oversees training, and also does the public relations for the department as well. The difference here is, and the benefits of changes is this: we go from paying a director $69,000 to paying an office manager $45,000, and it's a savings of $24,000. Well, then you go back the other way and you go, okay, Kyle's making $60,517 as an hourly employee. We move that to $65,000 as a salary employee, of an increase of $4,483. But the offset is $19,517 that we would be able to put back into the service that we aren't paying out in wages. And also, I said it again, that we would not be paying for a chase vehicle for the manager out there. So we'd only have one vehicle for the EMS medical director, and the second person, and they could have another chase vehicle they could give to a supervisor who was on duty or whatever. But that's something that I would like to see the vision for. I think I'm not saying we set somebody up for failure, but when you're talking about a budget that's the size of the EMS's budget out there, I think when you're trying to ask for one person to do all that, I think it can be overwhelming, and I think sometimes I don't want to set somebody up for failure again. And I think if we hire the right person in the office up front to manage the money and manage the, what's being bought and what's being, purchased, and making sure our billing's getting right, and the guy in the back's doing all the stuff with the medical. So that's a proposal that I'd like for people to look at and think about, and
Not necessarily tonight, but.
no, I'm just wanting you to see it.
Let me just ask you, I'm just curious, what's gonna be, I think Pat's doing some of that now.
Pat's and Pat probably is doing some of that,
Yeah.
but this person needs to focus straight on hey, what do we need? I'm gonna order it, I'm gonna get it from the best place I can get it. They're gonna be the person coming in here talking to us, you know, and they're gonna be the person talking to Tammy and saying, hey, here's my budget, here's where I'm at with my money. You know, that person is gonna be the money person. The other one's gonna be pretty much the employee person, and.
Would
and
this
that-
be, like a 1-year contract, renew every year,
I
just,
think
if
we
we either
could.
like them or we don't?
We could.
Yeah.
Actually, it's an open-ended, what do you call it, Zach, an at-will employee?
Yeah.
If we don't sign a contract with any employees of saying, hey, you got a contract for 5 years, you're just, you know, if we hire you, we hire you,
Yeah,
and we
if
can
you're-
terminate
if
you at
you're-
any time.
If you're an employee not under contract, then you are an at-will employee.
I wouldn't put it on a contract, so.
I mean, I'm not against this, I think it's such a different
Unless
concept.
there's some
from,
statute
Huh?
that makes you not an at-will employee. There's some people are not at-will employees and they don't have, like, police, fire,
Mhm.
depending on,
Yeah,
they may
but-
have like union contracts that
No, this-
oversee them, but.
I
they don't necessarily have
I'm gonna
to.
look at it,
Look at
I've
it,
got
just
some
think about
reservations
it.
about it, but
I
at the same time, we gotta do something.
think we need to separate them. I think somebody needs to be running the business side of it, and somebody needs to be running the employee side
You
of
know,
it, so.
you could expand that a little bit even,
In my
take
opinion,
over another department or do some of the.
Well, that's true, that's true.
I mean, it might be if there's not enough work.
Oh, I get what you're saying. I don't want somebody out there that's not gonna be filling their time.
I don't want public relations to be their primary. role.
No.
But that would be, everybody want that job.
No.
I have a question. Who would be responsible for regulations? Who would be your regulatory person? Because, you know, the state has all kinds of rules and regulations, what needs to be
I
on
think your
truck.
deputy director would
And
have
it's
to be.
more than just a job description, because we've had issues where we've not had the right items for this or that and the other. Which one of those people would
I
be
think
responsible?
it's a director of medical services. I think that person needs to be,
Mhm.
I think he needs to be making sure that everybody's complying with all the state statutes, because he, you know, the person that we would hire in the office, if everybody agrees this is just a proposal. But if we hired somebody in the office, they may not be that type of person that knows the medical field. And I wouldn't want them in that, but the guy back there in the back, he's the guy that's always talking to the, you know, EMS in Indianapolis and all those other things, and he knows what's supposed to happen.
I think
So-
it's worth looking at.
I think,
I mean, I'm not sold, but.
no, I'm not,
it's
I
worth
mean,
it.
it's, you know,
It's an option.
it's something that I've been thinking about for a long time, and we need to, I think we need to separate them somehow.
I agree, 100%.
So, just think about it.
Yeah,
And let's move on, cause I know hell, we're gonna be here till
Midnight.
church is gonna be.
I'll make a
Um,
motion to give courtyard use of the cradle use of the courtyard.
Randy seconds that.
That's quick.
I'll make that
I'm
unanimous.
for it.
The attorney doesn't have any comments, he's talked too much
We don't
tonight.
care anyway.
Payroll ratification for August the 27th. Everybody had an opportunity to look at it.
I'll make the motion pass.
I second.
I'll make that unanimous.
Next two.
Consideration of the minutes from August the 3rd, and I'm gonna just say them all here. Joint meeting of August the 4th, regular meeting of August the 11th, special meeting of August the 12th, executive of August the 18th, joint meeting.
I'll make a motion pass.
I second.
I'll make that unanimous, so make sure everybody signs off. The last thing is an FMLA request.
One.
I'll make the motion to pass. There,
You must know who it is.
I do. Yeah.
I put a note in there.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Some of that particular department will be catch-up paperwork on them because they've been indisposed.
yeah. Tammy doesn't have her minute book out here, so
I did.
she always waits till I put her pen up and then she brings it out.
Need to turn any run off, what we gonna do?
Every tab. I'm getting rid of this phone because I'm starting to.
He's done.
He's spent. I'm spent.
Okay, I do have one last thing. I mean, this is after everybody's comments. Next Saturday is September the 11th. 20 years after the attack on our country. And I want to just recognize that as a date that some people will never forget. John made a motion to accept this FMLA. Randy seconds, I'll make that unanimous.
Are we done?
We're done.
Was there? I make a
I
motion
think we
to
signed over
adjourn the
that.
meeting.
Second, whatever he made a motion to, I second it.
It was a courtyard use. They're letting them have a gospel sing fest in the courtyard.
I'll make that unanimous. Meeting adjourned.
Thank God.
No shit.
That